Hey, welcome to Outsmart Your Guitar. Glad you could be here. Today in rhythm guitar, we're going to talk about chord connections. If you don't know what that means, we're going to explain it and demonstrate it to you as well. So let's just get right to it. But wait, press that red button down there in the corner and you'll be subscribed to Outsmart Your Guitar. Ring the notification bell and you'll be informed when new material is posted, usually around once a week or so. Down in the description, you'll see a link to patreon.com Outsmart Your Guitar. Go on over there, subscribe and become a patron, and you will unlock access to material that's not featured here on YouTube, as well as expanded versions of some of the lessons that are featured here. In addition, you'll be helping support my efforts to continue to provide you with high quality lesson material to help you learn, play, and grow to be the guitar player you desire to be, to play the music you love. Sound good? All right, let's get to it. So, what exactly do I mean when I say chord connections? Well, to keep it simple, when you move from one chord to another chord, do they have some aspects of their fingering in common so that you don't have to rebuild the next chord from scratch, relying solely on muscle memory to get there? Because building muscle memory, particularly for those of you who are still new to your guitar playing, this takes time. So if you're still struggling with that, that's okay. This is common and it's normal and it's not a problem. It's just something you learn to overcome with time. Now, with chord connections, in some instances, moving between one chord and another chord, if they have commonalities between them, you can shorten the time it takes to move from that chord to the new chord because of these commonalities. I will explain this all as we move forward. I just wanted to kind of give you a heads up. This is what we're talking about. This is what we mean when we talk about chord connections. So let's get to the first example. Okay, you see we have two chords, an E and an A. Real straightforward stuff here. Now you'll notice on the A, I'm doing second, third, and fourth fingers, not first, second, and third. You'll notice also on the diagram, there's a red circle around the second finger and the third finger on the E chord and the second and third finger on the A chord. Because when you move from the E to the A, you're releasing this finger, hopping these two fingers over together, see how they're tied together, joined together, and then just adding your little finger and then bringing your thumb in to mute the low E. Now, for those of you who play with your first, second, and third finger, you're still making the connection. You're just, instead of moving over one, you're moving over two strings and adding your first finger. Oops. I tend to favor second, third, and fourth myself. It's up to you. So, for you who are relatively young and you're playing, practice this back and forth. Get comfortable with it, even if you do the first finger bit. Remember, you're moving over two strings instead of just one. All right? Then, once you've done this for a moment or two and gotten comfortable with it and getting to see just how quick you can move between those chords, and smooth too, restart the video and we'll get to the next example. Here we have a G, a C, and a D. Now, you'll notice the G is second, third, and fourth finger. And in the diagram, you'll notice this finger is grayed out because I want you to pay attention to your second and third fingers, which you'll notice with the red circles and lines. When you move to the C, those two fingers don't change their orientation. They're joined at the hip. You just move over one string each, add your first finger, having removed your fourth finger, then mute the low E. easy. Now, when you go to the D chord, retain the orientation, go all the way over to the first and second string like that, and then plant your first finger on the third string. And that's the idea. Now, if you play the rock and roll G, which has your two fingers on the first and second string, third and fourth fingers on the first and second string, you know, to play a more traditional rock and roll G. When you go to the C, if you want to play a regular C, you've got to literally lift everything up and move to this. Or you can do this, but that's no longer a C, it's a C add 9. And then from either one of these two versions, your one connection is just your third finger because it stays put through all three chords. And that's fine if that's the voicing you want. But if you want to play a traditional C, go to a traditional G so that you can move back and forth and change your fingering to second, third, and fourth. It also has the benefit of making these fingers free to do a sus 413. Right? Anyway, I digress. So, pause the video, and for those of you who are still relatively new in your playing, take this stuff to heart and really practice it. This is going to help you be able to move between G, C, and D a lot quicker when you only have to change one finger. Here, you're just changing with the first finger. Here, you're just again moving the first finger. And then back to the G, you're adding the fourth finger. So it's very straightforward because all three chords, you have 2/3 of the chords fingering already done. You just have to move it and learn to move it like this. And you can sit here and do this exercise too. All right? So, again, pause the video, practice this for a few minutes, and when you're ready to continue, you know what to do. Let's look at a little more involved progression. So we're going to start with a D, and you'll notice the red circle on the D is over the second and third finger notes, and it's connected to the C where you have the second and third finger notes. So just move that over as a unit to the fifth and fourth strings, add your first finger, and then you see the circle and the line going over to the G where the two notes are circled, the second and third finger covering those notes, and then just add your fourth finger. Now you'll notice a black circle over the second finger note on the G and the second finger note on the E minor, and they're connected because it's literally staying put. So you just slide it back and add your third finger, lifting your fourth finger off right next to the second finger. So if you want to practice this, you can do that. Now the other thing you might find yourself doing is lifting your second finger off a little bit to move and make room for your third finger. Go ahead and do that if that's how it works for you. The object here, though, is barely lift your second finger off. Don't pull it way off and then rebuild the chord from scratch, because when you do this, you're effectively building the chord from nothing. And we want that connection to help you stay close to the fretboard so that you don't have a lot of movement, very small movement. And then from the E minor to the A minor, you see the red circle around the second and third fingers, and those notes hopping over to the next two strings, you know, just one string each, to play those notes, adding your first finger. Now, I didn't put a C in here, but what you can also do is leave these fingers planted, lift your third finger up, slide your second finger up one little bit up to the fret, and then stretch your third finger over to finish playing a C. And you can practice that motion. Slide your second finger back, put your third finger in place for the A minor, slide your second finger forward as you move the third finger to the C, back and forth. Try to resist lifting your second finger. And then if you want to go back to the D, these two fingers stay put in their orientation, but move over to the first and second string, like so. So play through the progression just once per chord. Right? This is a great exercise to help you understand the importance of connections between chords, to make them flow more easily one into another. So pause the video and take a few minutes here. Even you who have been playing a while, go ahead and go through this exercise. Get yourself really steeped in understanding connections. All right? Then after 3 or 4 minutes of doing this, restart the video and we'll keep going. What I want to show you now is a connection in a very popular pop tune. And this is kind of cool because it now involves 3 fingers being used. And you'll notice I've got both the F and the G chord connected to the C chord, because going from the G to the C, what you're going to do is you're going to release, come down, and move over 1 string each to get to the C while adding your first finger over there to finish it off. And then you hop all 3 fingers over as you extend your first finger to get to the F. So it goes something like this. So technically you've got 3/4 of each of these 3 chords already formed in this group of 3 fingers, right? Just like that. You have the F and the G, which is obvious because they're both bar chords, but then you move it over to the C and you've got 3/4 of it already formed. This is the power of understanding chord connections in a nutshell. Now, if you're still struggling with bar chords, this is actually a really good exercise to help you learn to play and move between regular chords and bar chords a little more efficiently, particularly since we're showing you how these 3 chords are actually connected. I could go from the C to the G in the opposite direction, right? Whoops. There we go. Either way you want to do it, it works beautifully. So you want to practice this. So pause and go over this for a few minutes. Again, if you're still struggling with bar chords, this is a great exercise. Then, after you've done this for a little bit, press play and we'll keep going. For this final example, it's a little advanced for you beginners, but I want you to learn to play these chords. You need these chords. So it may be a little bit of a struggle, and I understand that, but I want you to learn these chords. And those of you who have been playing a while, if you don't know some of these chords, learn this progression. You want to know these chords. They're awesome. Okay, so this is taken from a really old tune written in the 30s, and it will go nameless. You start with an A minor 7. Very beautiful chord. Now, you play the D7. And from this point forward, your 3rd finger never leaves the 4th string. So what you do is you move it down 3 frets to form the G major 7. Then you move it up 1 fret to form the C major 7. You go down 3 frets to the F sharp minor 7. Then you move up 2 frets to the B7. And then mostly retain the shape of the chord as you move up to the E minor, moving your 2nd and 4th fingers into place. When I show these connections to students as they're learning this tune, they learn this progression a lot quicker because of the connections, because it makes the motion between them smoother. They're keeping their fingers in touch with the fretboard or close to it, because when you move from the D7 to the G major 7, your 3rd finger is staying in touch, and the idea is that your fingers stay hovering over the strings as you move between the chords. You'll notice my fingers aren't flying off the fretboard like this. They're actually, from the C major 7, hovering over the strings so that they can get to the next chord quickly. And that's something you really want to pay attention to. Are your fingers flailing out here to where you're literally building each chord almost from scratch, relying on muscle memory alone to hopefully get you to play the chord correctly? Versus if you went with your 3rd finger, a lot less motion going on here, and you're in contact with the fretboard with that 3rd finger all the way. And that helps keep your other 3 fingers grounded. And that's the whole idea here. Stay in touch with the fretboard as much as possible, and chord connections are one way to make that happen. So pause the video, practice this for 5-10 minutes. Get comfortable with it. If you've got to learn these chords from scratch, here they are. The fingering is there for you. The names of the chords are there for you. Go for it. Learn these. You want all these chords that you don't know. They're awesome, as I said before. All right? Then, when you're ready to continue, you know what to do. All right, there you go. Just a few examples from really simple to a more involved demonstration showing you the importance of understanding and looking for chord connections to help you master moving between chords more effectively. Keeping your fingers in contact with the fretboard where possible, hovering in every other instance. The hovering is what really is going to help you make the motion between the chords happen far more smoothly and quickly. If your fingers are flailing about between chords, you're going about this wrong because you're wasting motion, getting your fingers all the way off the fretboard and really having a lot of distance from the fretboard. This is not healthy for your rhythm playing skills. So go over these things carefully. Even the simplest things can trip you up sometimes. So that's why I encourage you who've been playing a while, go over even the simple examples here. And those of you who are still relatively young in your playing, learn the more complex stuff here and now. Trust me, you're going to like that, and you're going to be glad you did start going into these deeper chords that you don't know. They're going to open up and expand your world a little bit more, and that's always a good thing, right? All right, that'll do it for this lesson on rhythm playing and chord connections. Thank you for letting me spend this time with you. I really enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.